Hey everyone, Mr. Kimsing here, and I'm really excited because we're finally starting to look at how to build a nav bar using HTML and CSS. Let's get into it. Right now I've got this About Us page, and there's not really much here. There's a bit of content and some headers there. But the focus of this lesson is how do I start looking at linking to other pages. Now I know how to do that using an anchor tag. Check out my previous video on that if you haven't looked at that already. But now I want to think about how can I organize this in a much nicer way so that I have like a little bar at the top that kind of links to other pages on my website that you're kind of used to seeing on other websites. How do I go about doing that? First thing I want to do is I want to organize in some way. I'm going to create a list. Alright, so to get started on my list, I'm going to use a UL tag. It's just an unordered list. And inside each of these, I want my dot points, and we call those LIs. Those are kind of like the elements, I suppose you can think of. What's going to go inside here? Well, these are the names of my pages. So, example, home. Maybe if we're looking at some detail, forensics detail, and maybe an FAQ page or something like that. There you go. Those are my page names. Now, this doesn't really look like a nav bar right now. We'll work on that. But one thing that's important with a nav bar is that I can actually click these and it goes somewhere. So remember, the way I do that is I'm going to use my anchor tags here. So let's get an anchor tag going on. And I want this to go to my index.html that goes to my home. Make sure to close this as well. Okay. Now, I haven't created these pages yet. If you haven't created a page, what we can do is we can have a placeholder. Say, okay, this is going to be a link. We'll go back to that later. We just put a hash there, and we'll go back to it later and put in the page when I've actually finished building it. But for now, we can just leave it like that. Okay, and there's my pages. And now you can see they're hyperlinked. And I can click home and it takes me to home. These ones don't do anything because they're obviously not linked to a page yet, but we'll come back to that. Alright, how do I make this look a bit more like an actual navigation bar? This is where I want to go to my CSS page. So remember, we have two separate files for that. And I want to start changing what the unordered list looks like. So to do that, here's my selector. And we'll go, alright, this list style type. I don't actually want these dot points. I don't want anything there, actually. Let's get rid of those. Boom. That's the first thing we're going to do. Alright, so now I've got rid of those dot points. Again, it doesn't really look like a nav bar. Nav bars should really have colors, so let's add those in too. I'm going to add a background color. Let's go 333. Ooh. Okay, this doesn't really look too good because I can't really see anything now. What do I want to do next? Well, now I want to change the font color, but in order to change the font color, I'm going to have to go into the actual text that I have. And the text that I have is going to be the list, but also it's within this A tag here. So I want to say A there. All right. I want the color to be, let's say, white because we've got a pretty dark background. There we go. That's a bit nicer too. All right. So starting to come together a little bit. What are some other things we can change? Well, some other things we can change also are when I think about like clicking this nav bar, right? You notice how it's owning the text right now, which is linked? That's not usually something that is the case. Usually I can just click a whole block. So what I'm actually going to do is, as I just kind of said, I want this to be a block. So I can go into that component and say display block. What that's going to do is now you can see that when I hover my mouse over this section, these are all linked somewhere. It's a little bit hard to see where exactly it's linked, so I'm going to change that too. I want to make this not really stacked so closely together. I kind of want to separate these a little bit. The way I can do that is I can think about adding what we call padding. And the padding is just going to give me a bit more space in between all of these. So it's adding a padding there. And we can define it by using pixels. There we go. There's a bit more space now. Now I can really clearly see, okay, if I'm clicking this, it's going to home, right? These ones, again, I haven't created yet, but we'll work on those. All right, it's starting to come together again. What else do I want? Some other things I can think about are, alright, as I'm looking at this, usually my nav bars are actually kind of horizontal. So what I want to do is I'm going to go to my list itself, and if I do float left, it's going to align everything to the left for me, and, oh, I've lost it. Okay, because I've lost it, I actually do a bit more HTML magic. These are just some commands you can remember. I'll explain them later on, but these are going to help me get my nav bar back. Okay, so what I want you to put in is overflow hidden. And hopefully, yeah, there we go. And now it's back. Okay, so now that's the really exciting thing to get. That looks like a nav bar that I'm proud of, right? I can click it and it goes back there. That's looking good. Some other things are right now, it's got this space here, so I make the margin 0 and the padding 0 for this section. That should fix up any spacing issues. There we go, and it's a bit more compact there now. And it's really great because if I want to add more pages, for example, all I have to do is just add in something else here. Maybe we want to add in a contact us page, right? Yeah, that pops up there quite nicely. Some other things that if you want to extend this a bit further, right, we can actually keep going and say, look, usually when I have a nav bar, if I kind of hover over it, it sort of tells me I'm there. Like obviously I know my mouse is there, but it's nice to have a cool visual cue as well. I can do that as well. I want to go into my CSS file and I want to say list. Now it's not just what's happening at A, it has to be actioned by a certain thing. And what I actually have to do is I have to hover over it. So literally, again, this syntax is quite intuitive. I say, all right, what happens when I hover over it? Well, what do you actually want to change? You want to change, for example, the background color, right? The background color you want to make, I don't know, let's say, we've got some blue up there already, so let's make it blue, right? And when I do that, ooh, you can see it becomes nice and blue now. I mean, you can, what else can I do? Something you might notice, like, what's the point of a nav bar? Nav bar means I can always go back to somewhere. So if I'm kind of scrolling down this page, I've kind of lost my nav bar, which isn't particularly useful. We can try and keep it there in a few different ways. One of the ways I can try and do that is I can say, look, that nav bar, I want it fixed somewhere, right? So if we go to UL, which is the whole of this unordered list, which is essentially our nav bar now, right? I can say, look, I want the position to be fixed. Okay, so I've got this now, which is great, but a couple of funny things have happened. First of all, I've kind of like lost half my nav bar for some reason. And also, although it's fixed now, which is great, it's just kind of in the middle of a page, which is not really what I want. Two things I can do to fix this. So first of all, I want the width to always be 100%. So let's do that first. Boom, it's back there now. Haven't fixed the other problem yet, I can do that too. The top, right, the distance from the top, I want it to be 0. So let's do that. Ooh, there we go. Now you can immediately see the problem with this, right? The problem is that, hang on, even though it's fixed at the top is a little bit annoying because I've actually got some content here that I'm actually trying to look at and I can't see it. So it's good that it's fixed at the top, but I don't really want it here. I'm going to change this. I'm not going to make the position fixed. Instead, I'm going to say, well, there's a better way of doing this. What about we keep it here until I scroll past it, then it goes to the top. There's a way we can do that. I call it sticky position. So sticky is a bit flexible, but it will stick where I need it to. And now you can see, look at that. How cool is that? I scroll down and now it's sticking to the top when I need it to. Right, that's how we can get started on a basic nav bar. You can think of a whole heap of customizations that we can take with this, but we need to use our CSS file and our HTML file here with the list, and here create something cool like that. Hope that helped.